After another terrible performance against Everton, Chelsea are back to try and rectify themselves with another Premier League tie, this time facing Sheffield United at Stamford Bridge. But who will play, and how did Chelsea win? Let's get to it. Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC and welcome to the lead-in. Like always, I'm going to predict the lineups that I feel will play and show how I believe our team could set up tactically. So without further ado, let's firstly look at our opponents for this match. Sheffield United are currently sitting rock bottom of the Premier League table and are by all accounts the worst team in the league. 2 wins, 2 draws and a staggering 12 losses has earned them a measly 8 points, with their -29 goal difference keeping them firmly behind Burnley. If we look at the head-to-head, Chelsea have won the majority of games between the two sides in recent memory, with the Blades' last win against us being a shocking 3-0 victory back in 2020. They will be looking to capitalise on Chelsea's poor form and try to scrape their way out of the relegation zone. So, how will they plan on trying to achieve that? Let's look at the team. Sheffield United, managed by Chris Wilder, set up in a very different way to what we used to see from them. No more overlapping centre-backs, it's back to a pretty standard 4-1-4-1 I'd suspect, after its success against Brentford. First up in goal will, as always, be Wes Foderingham. He has been in goal for them all season and just picked up his first clean sheet last time out, so there's no doubt over his inclusion here. For the back four, this will be changed slightly, however the right back will remain unchanged. Starting here once again will be Jayden Bogle. The centre-back duo is what will be changed. Bosnian Arnel Ahmedhodzic obviously starts, but due to Jack Robinson's accumulation of yellow cards, he is suspended. This means that Austin Trusty will likely shift back into a central role, with Max Lowe coming into the left-back position. Moving into the midfield, we'll start with the 6, returning to the side from suspension and likely captaining it is Oliver Norwood. Over on the right will be the man whose screamer won them all 3 points last time out, James McAtee. The 2 central roles will likely remain relatively unchanged, with Palmer starting on the right and Vinicius Souza starting on the left. Over on the far left hand side will once again be Cameron Archer. This leaves one player up top. Returning from suspension is Scottish target man Ollie McBurney, who will be looking to provide the goals. Now, I'm not going to talk about United's tactics here as usual, I'll leave that until after the match if I have time, but I will however mention a few things of note. Firstly, I think it's important to make the distinction that this Sheffield United team is not the same team that teams have been battering week in, week out. I mentioned that Chris Wilder is the manager, but this is a very recent return, with Paul Heckingbottom being the manager for the majority of their games this season, before he was ultimately sacked due to poor performances. Wilder has come in and lost one and won one, with that one loss coming to top of the table Liverpool, who they'd likely have lost to regardless. Brentford felt the brunt of the new manager bounce, giving Sheffield United their second win of the season, with Chris Wilder already equalling his predecessor's tally. Whilst I don't think Chris Wilder is a fantastic coach, he did previously get the Blades into mid-table, and despite them getting relegated a few seasons later, I think that Sheffield team under Wilder played much better than this current one that's just come under his guidance. And the improvement has been there to see already. Not only did they beat Brentford, but they looked far better, passing the ball around nicely and looking dangerous in the second half, winning the ball high up the pitch and springing promising counter-attacks. Unfortunately, in that game they were rather wasteful with those opportunities, because on another day it could have been 2 or 3-0. Despite having 20% less possession, they created almost the same amount of chances as the Bees, had the same amount of shots on target, and as the clean sheet suggests, defended decently well too, along with some fantastic work in goal from Foderingham. Chelsea can't come into this game like we did against Everton, because I think Sheffield's game plan will largely be the same: absorb pressure, snatch the ball where they can and create attacks on the transition with the very little possession of the ball that they have. So as always, I'd like to focus more on our own team from now on, so speaking of the Blues, let's talk about Chelsea. But real quick, if you're enjoying the content and want to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel. Cheers. Let's start with the formation, same as always, 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. This lineup is going to be slightly different to usual because of absentees, but by all means should still be more than enough to beat Sheffield United. A quick editor's note here before I continue. I obviously write my scripts and record these before the press conferences come out, so at the time, obviously the news about Cucurella, Sanchez and Nkunku were not 100% confirmed things, so that explains my uncertainty with those topics, so just keep that in mind before you continue. Cheers. So, first up in goal, I'm going to be putting in Djordje Petrovic. I somehow predicted that he would play last time out, but I didn't expect Sanchez getting injured to be the reason why. We don't know the extent of that injury, but I would play it safe and give the young Serbian his full debut from the start in this one. Now the back four will be changed from the last game due to multiple injuries, so replacing Reece James in the right back position will be Axel Disasi. With Gusto still out and Cucurella injured too, I think Poch will opt to go for what we used successfully versus Brighton, so the large Frenchman starts here for me. In the centre will be the duo of Thiago Silva on the right and Benoit Badiashile on the left. I think Big Ben had a really good game against Everton overall, with the 2 goals being a stain on a decent performance. Now on the left I'm going to predict something a little wild. I genuinely believe we could see Ian Maatsen start this one. Levi Colwill was a bit of a liability for the first goal, and Maatsen looked decent when he came into that position, and with him touted for a January exit, I could see Poch using this as a way to advertise the goods, as it were. Moving into the midfield, this will be completely unchanged in terms of personnel, but hopefully Poch gets their positions correct this time. Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo in the deeper roles please, with Conor Gallagher playing as an attacking mid, not in the pivot. The 3 up top I'm going to change too, and this is another pretty rogue shout. On the right I'm going to continue to play Cole Palmer. I think he was good in that Everton game for the most part, but was just a little too selfish at times. He was getting into good positions centrally though, and that's what we need. On the left, you all know who I'm putting in. Mykhailo Mudryk starts once again. He is getting better every single week that he plays, and that experience is what's going to turn him from a raw player with bags of potential into a good player with bags of talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a goal or assist in this game. Up top in the striker role, I'm going to be mixing things up. Jackson's form has been poor, hence why he was dropped for Broja, and Broja didn't really take his chance well, being lacklustre against Everton too. So I'm going to suggest that we play Raheem Sterling as a false 9 instead. We have done this previously when Jackson was suspended and Broja was injured, and it brought us some success, so I could see us revert to this if Poch doesn't have faith in either striker to play. It's worth noting that reports have suggested that Nkunku will be available for selection, so hopefully we get a small cameo off of the bench as we ease him back into first team football. Now I'm going to break down how I think we should play in order to get a result against the Blades, but before I do so, it's time for the question of the day. As always, I'm going to highlight some of the comments from the last video, so here are a few responses to the last question of the day. Thanks guys for your continued support as ever. If you want your comment to be featured in the next video, leave your answer to this video's question of the day down below with QOTD at the start as always. So for this week's question of the day, we'll go for a simple one. As the January transfer window nears, if we had to sign 3 players, who would you choose and why? Alright, so how will we play? Well, I think that honestly this game is the final straw for Pochettino. Anything less than a win here is simply unacceptable, and though I'm not a fan of the rotating door of managers we have, I would suggest that it would be enough to cost him his job if he doesn't get a result here. I'm going to highlight some keys to success, as I always do. Firstly, Poch has to get the players into their correct positions in this one. If I see Enzo Fernandez playing as a left forward again, I am going to rip my hair out, and I do not want to see Cucurella at right back if he is deemed fit enough to play after his twisted ankle. Secondly, we have to bring the intensity from the second half against Everton into this game from the first whistle. Sheffield United have the wind in their sails at the moment, and if we do not stop their momentum, I could easily see Stamford Bridge getting nervy and them taking advantage of it with the away fans egging them on. We need to play hard, we need to play fast, we need to smother them so they can't breathe and be relentless whilst doing so. At this point we are fighting to stay out of a relegation battle, so we should be putting our all into this one to stop that from happening. The third thing I want to point out is what I touched on in my previous video. We need to commit bodies forward, get numbers into the area so that our wingers / fullbacks have targets to aim at from the wide areas or with cutbacks. Especially with how United will likely defend, we are never going to find success trying to play balls into the box against a low block if we do not try to match the numbers in that box to the best of our ability. It's also worth mentioning that, like I've said many times in the past, our best bet is to play balls low into the area, as we do not have the height in attacking areas to compete with centre-backs, and our crossing isn't pinpoint enough to navigate that with James not being in the side. Especially with a false 9 setup like I have put us in, we should play snappy, one-touch football on the floor and aim to pick out bodies in the box for tap-ins with low cutbacks. We know we will dominate possession for the majority of this game, so when we have it, we have to use it. There's no reason in having the ball if you aren't going to play with it. We have to take risks with the ball at our feet and not just safely pass the ball around and wait for gaps. Teams these days are defensively responsible enough to prevent those gaps from appearing. We have to make the gaps ourselves with good movement, direct dribbling, or creative passing. This is going to sound kind of naive, but I genuinely think we should just give the ball to Mudryk at every opportunity. He makes something happen anytime he's on the ball, and is one of those types of players that gets the crowd on their feet, which in turn helps the rest of the players. The atmosphere at our games has been far below par, and we need to get the bridge rocking and get behind the team in this one. I don't have much more to say about this game, so like I said with the Everton fixture, just win. It's non-negotiable. This embarrassment has gone on far too long, and we need some confidence before facing Newcastle in the Cup, as that is our only chance at silverware for the foreseeable future. For a score prediction, I'm going to, as ever, predict a Chelsea win, and I'll say that Chelsea will beat the Blades by 2-1, as I don't trust that we won't concede a silly goal. I'm going to say that our goals will come from Mudryk, slotting the ball into the near corner after cutting inside on his right foot. The other will come from Sterling, who usually performs against these lowly teams. As for Sheffield United's goal, I think a late consolation from McBurney will likely do the trick. But that was just my lead-in match preview for Chelsea vs Sheffield United. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these possible lineups in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from MonoCFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.